Hey guys, this video is on Tagmate Debugger. Tagmate Debugger is the latest product model which enables you to manually audit or QA the existing GA4 implementation on your website. With this module, first you need to create or upload the GA4 event schema for your website, and post the implementation of GA4, you can use the debugger to audit or compare the actual implementation against the event schema. Now let's get to the demo. Once you are active on the product website, click on sign in with Google and use preferably the same Google account which has access to your Google Tag Manager container. Once you land on the product modules page, find the debugger module card and click on start project. Since you are a new user, you will land on the initial dashboard, which is a three-step process for event schema dashboard. The first step being configuration, the second step being creating or uploading the event schema, and the third step being validating the implementation against the actual event schema. Let's click on Let's Start. The first step in the sequence is to add the basic details. For the video, we are going to use Tagmate's main website, and I will add the website URL domain here. Then I have to choose the data analytics platform, which is GA4. I will click on save and continue. And once the configuration is complete, I move to the next step in the sequence, which is to create or upload the event schema. We're going to come soon with the upload schema functionality. In the event schema, we have to create three components. One is the page screen taxonomy, which holds all the unique page URLs. The second is the parameters taxonomy, which holds the details of the event parameters and the user properties. And the third step is to create the event, which will capture the details of the user interaction, along with which page URL it should fire on and what kind of event parameters it should collect in GA4. So let's create the first page URL by clicking on new. Since my home page is the first URL, I'll paste this here. The environment is obviously production, and the page type is a home page. This is not a mandatory field, so I can skip that. My page status is already published, and I can click on save. Now let's say I want to edit this particular entry. I can click on homepage entry and I can make changes therein. Now, since I've already created one page URL, let's move to the parameter taxonomy and create a couple of event parameters and a couple of user properties. For this video, we are going to use or create the event, which is a click of any of the elements of the top navigation menu, like products, pricing, resources, or webinar. And underneath resources, there can be subheaders or sub navigation menu, like blogs and webinar. And under products, there can be also multiple subheader values. Let's go back. Since I already know what are the event parameters, I will click on new and I will put the event parameter name, which is header, the first one. It is a custom dimension. It will capture the L1 navigation menu details values, let's say, which is obviously products, pricing, resources, and white label. So I will add them as comma separated: products, pricing, resources, comma, white label. And the status is published because I already know my developer has implemented this event parameter. There are other advanced settings that I can choose to add, it is recommended to add this certain advanced settings because that helps in the debugging or auditing logic. So I will add the custom dimension name, which is the GFO custom dimension name that I want to report. The scope is obviously event. The data type is going to be a string. The value type is finite because I know this can be any of these four values. And the event parameter priority, I will keep it as low because it's not a conversion tracking event. I can save this header parameter, or I can add more event parameters because I know there are subheaders that I want to pass. I'll do so. It will capture the L2 navigation menu values. Status is again published. Now there are lot of values in the subheader. So if I don't want to write them down, I can either leave this text field as blank, which will basically consider all values, or I can write down dynamic under double braces, which basically means that any value that gets fetched will be treated as accurate. Under advanced settings, I'll do the same. Custom dimension scope is event, the data type is string, the value type is infinite because there are multiple uh, event parameter values that can be fetched. The priority is again set to be low, and once done, I click on save. Now you can edit the same event parameters like I did with the page URL. Under user properties, if I want to create user properties, I can do that. For the video, let's go back and create the event taxonomy. Under event taxonomy, like I mentioned, that I want to track the user interactions who click on the navigation menu or the L2 navigation menu options. So I will write top underscore navigation underscore click. This event is already in production. This is a custom event because it's a click event that the user will perform. Now, how did I get this event name? This is something that you are proposing, and accordingly, the developer will be using the same event name once you share the event schema with them. Click on implementation status, which is published. The description can be captures the user clicks on navigation menu, right? This is not again a high priority, so I'll keep it as low. Now I need to add the event parameters that will be collected along with the event, which is top navigation click. So I'll click on event parameter configuration. The best part is you will find the list of all the parameters that you had created earlier. You can select both of them, or you can add new from here itself. There were no user properties, so it is left blank. Now I can move to the triggering condition, which is one of the most important prerequisites while creating an event. So I need to write down in general English when does the event fire so that the QA or the agency who is auditing, they would understand how to perform the event. So I'll write it down when user clicks on any item in the top navigation menu except the buttons like start free trial and login. Except the start free trial and login CTA. I need to upload the screenshot for more information. So I can click it here and it will allow me to upload the screenshot. Since I've already taken a screenshot, I'm doing that. Then it will ask me to select the event trigger. Since this is a click button trigger, so I'll choose click trigger, or I can find the list of all the GTM triggers that are relevant to this particular event. And the last one is to select the page URL on which this event is going to fire. Since I've created the home page or the tagmate.app URL in the page taxonomy, I select that. And then I click on generate because this button is active now. And you can see that there is a code snippet that gets created, which you can copy and send it to your developer for actual implementation on the website source code. That's how the magic happens. Now, since this entire form has been filled, you can click on save. By this process, you are going to create all the events that you want to create and implement on your GA4 for the website. And this will be kind of a one-time activity before the implementation. And post implementation, you might want to go back and edit some of these events, or if there is a change in your website pages or elements, you're going to create newer events again. If you want to download and share it with your developer, you can click on select button here, and you can download this entire event schema in form of a CSV. Great. Let's go back. Now you can see there is a CTA button that has come up, which is says save and continue, because you have created one event at list with multiple event parameters and one page URL where the event needs to get fired. So if I click on save and continue, I move to the third step in the sequence, which is where I need to validate the event schema against the actual implementation and diagnose any types of bugs or errors. There are two methods. One is the manual debugging and the automated debugging. As a QA or a developer, we will get started with the manual debugging. Let's click on start debugging. There are two mini steps. The first step is to install a debugger Chrome extension by clicking on this URL or this particular button. Since I've already installed the Chrome extension, it is showing in as an icon on my Chrome toolbar. So I will perform the second step, which is sync the extension. That's it. I just need to click on sync and I can close this Chrome extension for now. All the details that I have created are now passed on to the Chrome extension. Click on next, and I will need to add the page URL where I want to start debugging. So since I had added tagmate.app, I'll do that and give a particular name, which is debug homepage session 1. Once I click on start session, the debugger will start functioning in the background by opening the Chrome extension. Now you can see on top of your page, you're able to see a blue window or a pop-up, which is actually the Chrome extension. So you can read the three-step process. The first process is to see the list of events that are shown in this Chrome extension window and manually perform each of these interactions, like whether it's a click button, whether it's a scroll element that you have to do, or a form submission. You have to manually perform that. And the third step is once you have performed it, you can analyze by checking the details of each event, whether it has been fired accurately or not, or uh, you know whether the implementation is correct or not. So I'll click on continue. Interestingly, I can see that the only event that I had created, which is top underscore navigation underscore click, that gets featured here. So there might be multiple events that you have already implemented on your website, but since in the event taxonomy you have created just one event, you can debug that same event. As the event firing condition suggests, I have to perform the interaction that when user clicks on any item in the navigation menu except the start field trial and login CTA. There are two fields where it shows whether the event has been fired or not, and if it is fired, whether the implementation is accurate or not. So let's click on any of the top navigation menu options. For the time being, I will click on pricing, but I'll do a control plus click so that to save the state of this particular page. So let me click on pricing. Great, voila. You can see the green fired status that has come in, which basically means that the developer has implemented top navigation click and the implementation is accurate as per the event schema that I defined. If I want to investigate further, I can click on check details. It will open the debugging session dashboard where there was one event that had created, it was fired successfully, and it has been implemented also successfully. You can click on the individual event names to go further down, where it will give you a comparison against what was captured in the taxonomy versus what was collected or found on the page in form of a network request. So the event name matches 100%. There were two parameters that I had passed. One was the header and the subheader. As I can see in the header, I had given four values and it is matching pricing as one of the values. In subheader, I had kept it as dynamic, so there was no value that was captured, which basically also matches accurately with it. I can download this entire debugging session by clicking on the download CSV and share it with my product manager or the client if I am an agency. You can continue to go back and debug more and more events until you are able to debug the list of events that are available on the Chrome extension dashboard. So once done, you can close this debug session and come back here and click on refresh, where you can see the session end time, and which basically means that your debug session has been completed. You can go back to your dashboard by clicking on dashboard option, and you will see that for this event schema, there was one page that was published and there was one event that you debugged, and that event was debugged successfully, so there were no errors. Great. Now we are done with our first event debugging. If you want to create and debug further events, you would need to go back to event schema and create more events and then come back and start a new debug session and debug them. If you may have further queries, please use the chat support or write back to us on support@tagmate.app, and we'll be happy to help you with the debugger module version. Thank you.